Dear students, today we will be learning about Module 1 DIP. In this class, I am going to cover spatial and gray level resolution, zooming and shrinking, arithmetic and logic operations, linear and non-linear operations. All these are part of Module 1 in the digital image processing. The first one, that is the spatial and gray level resolution. So we have two type of resolutions. The first one is called as the spatial resolution and the second one is called as the gray level resolution. What is a spatial resolution? The spatial resolution, the smallest recognizable detail in an image. That means it can be the smallest part. So what can be the smallest part for an image? If I am going to express an image with respect to pixels, that is the picture elements, we can say this picture is consisting of so many picture elements. Okay, or else we can also tell this image is consisting of so many dots. If I talk about the pixels or if I talk about the dots, then we also should tell that how many pixels are available in my unit distance. That means you should take a measurement and based on that only you can tell how many pixels are present. So we can also measure uh, the basic unit in a picture by making use of dots per inch. That means how many dots, how many small dots, that means the smallest recognizable part of an image, how many dots are present per inch. So we can measure this. The spatial resolution is nothing but it is always expressed in the form of a quantity which is in terms of rows and columns. So the number of pixels present in your image will always specify the spatial resolution. The number of pixels, if it is less, that means the details are very few. If you are having more number of pixels accommodated in your picture, that means your picture is having more information. So this pixel, every pixel in the image is going to give you some information about the entire image. So spatial resolution means we will always be talking about a point with respect to its neighbors, with respect to its row and column, with respect to its size. So these are the things what we are going to consider whenever we are having any spatial resolution. The second one is when we are having a gray level resolution. The gray level resolution also can be called as the intensity level resolution. In this intensity level resolution, we are going to talk about the smallest recognizable changes what we have in my image. That means the smallest recognizable color change what we have in my image, or the intensity change what I have in my image, the gray level change what I have in my image, that is called as the intensity or gray level resolution. So the gray level resolution, it can be expressed with some number of bits. These bits can be it can be 8 bits or it can be 16 bits or it can be 32 bits. Like this we can go for the smallest possible change. The smallest possible change in an image should be expressed through some number of bits. Only when you have the number of bits, then only by looking at the bits you know that how many levels will be there. For example, if I have only one bit, definitely I will be having two information. That means I have two levels. I have two types of colors here, that is 0 and 1. If I'm having 2 bits, then I can have 4 combinations. That means I can have 4 type of colors. So like this we can have, if I am having 8 bit of information, you can have the intensity starting from all the 8 bits 0 and ending at all the 8 bits 1. So that means you will be having totally 256 combinations. That is called as a gray level resolution. If you are representing a picture by using a pixel element by making use of a 16 bit, this 16 bit will be having the information about all possible intensities what your image or that particular pixel can have. So this 16 bits will be having the information regarding the color combinations which are going to start from all 16 bits zeros, and it will be going up till the maximum all 16 bits 1. That means we are having a large collection of colors if you go for representing a gray level resolution making use of 16 bits. That means if you are having 16 bits, that means you can go for having the colors from all 16 bits, means you are having a wide range of selection. So in the picture below you can see that we have a image. That image you can see the different type of resolutions. So it is starting from of white and it is going up till the black. So we have different colors or different gray levels here. So these gray levels will be expressed in the form of the number of bits. So that is called as a spatial and gray level resolution. The number of bits what we have, it is equal to m into n into k, or it can also be written as b is equal to n to the power of 2 into k. So here we have b is equal to m into n into k. So this 1024, how did you get this 1024? So we know that the level is equal to 2 over here. If the level is equal to 2 means the k value is equal to 1. So 2 to the power of 1 is equal to 2. So that 1, what is there? That is nothing but the k. So here the number of bits can be got by the n into n, that is 32 into 32 into k, which is equal to 1. So you are getting it as 1024. Okay, you can also calculate this one by making use of n to the power of 2. That is nothing but where we have 32 into 32 again into the k, where you are getting 1024. So if you take this 3072, how we are going to get this one here, 3072? In this 3072, the level is equal to 8. If level is equal to 8, the k value is equal to 3. So we have 32 into 32 and into 3. So you are going to get this value as 3072. So you can see that as the level goes on increasing, of course the number of storage bits required for storing information will also be increasing. So the capital N what we have, the capital N is nothing but we are having the image row size and the column size. So if the image row size and the column size becomes greater and greater, even the number of bits required also will be greater. So the levels will be here increasing. When you are increasing the level, the number of bits required for storing an image also increases. If you have more pixels, if you have more number of bits in your image, that means you have more number of information in your image. That means lot of information will be stored in the image. That is the concept of the spatial and gray level resolution. In this slide you can see that we are having we have the rose picture over here, which is expressed by making use of a different spatial resolutions. The biggest image what we have here, that is having its spatial resolution as the biggest picture over here, it is having its spatial resolution as 1024 by 1024. So you can see the picture is very clear, and we can see all the colors and the intensities very clearly, because we are having a bigger image where we have a spatial resolution 1024 by 1024. So you can see that when you go on reduce the number of bits taken up by the image by halving, so you will have 512 by 512, then 256, you can see the picture is not recognizable when you go up till certain level. That means the resolution, when you make smaller and smaller, at some point of time what happens, the picture will not be recognizable. So we should always choose a good resolution factor for any image for it to be clear. Only when you are having a good resolution factor, then we can make out clearly what that particular picture is. So the picture won't be clear if you are not having a good spatial. So you can see in this particular image, we are keeping this picture, the first picture, which is nothing but you are having 1024 by 1024, and we are having the second image, that is the second image is a 512 into 512 image, and it is resampled into 1024 by 1024 pixels by row and column duplication. So when you go for the row and column duplication, so you can see at some point of time, though there is little disturbance, you will not be able to differentiate between picture 1 picture 2, but the quality of the picture goes on reducing. Though you have the image as 1024 only, but this 1024 has been got by resampling smaller images. That means when you're going for column duplication of the smaller images. So because of this, you can see that the resolution plays a very important role in having a clear picture. So in this image here, in the second row what we have, the picture is very unclear because the sampling what is happening, that is underrated. That means you are having less samples taken, and by using those samples when you try to depict a image, naturally the quality won't be good. So the quality is going on reducing. So we have to look at the optimum level what we are having, the optimum level of the resolution, the image resolution what is there. It plays a very important role when you go for selecting the image. So spatial and gray level resolution should be understood in the digital image processing to understand how actually the pictures will be displayed. So if you have more spatial resolution, the picture will be better. That is not the only solution. We will see how with even less undersampling we can go for enhancing and then go for restoring the features what you can see in your the biggest image. Okay. In the spatial and gray level resolution, if you are having insufficient number of gray levels, that means the number of gray levels is not correct, then what is going to happen? Of course, the image will be not depicted clearly. So this phenomenon is called as false contouring or the contouring defect. The defect is nothing but where you will be having a less number of gray levels when we are using, you will see that the picture won't be smooth. Look at the case over here in this particular picture where we have the first image which is represented by using good level of gray levels, and that is why the image is smooth. Whereas when you go for the second picture, you can see the you are going to see some shadings over here. The shadings or the lines, the counters are appearing here because we don't have the image which is properly having the gray levels. So in the image you should always see for a good level of gray. Only when you are having a good level of gray, then you are going to have the beautiful picture. The second one is the concept of zooming and shrinking. So what is zooming? Zooming is nothing but when you are going to increase the size. That means we are going to scale up the factor or you are going to resize it upwards. So this effect can be produced by some methods. So these methods are nothing but the nearest neighbor interpolation, bilinear interpolation, bicubic interpolation, and k times zooming and pixel replication. So we know that what is this interpolation? We'll be having an image, and whenever we are having an image, when we try to resize or when we try to distort an image, then that process is called as interpolation. We'll be making use of the known points to find the unknown points. That is also another way of talking about interpolation. So zooming, you can see here, zooming is where we are going to create new pixel location, and then we are going to assign the gray levels to the new pixel locations. You can look at this picture over here where we have the original image. This original image, it is a 6 cross 6 matrix. When you try to zoom it, what is going to happen? In between the pixels, you will be having the gap. So it is now our responsibility to fill up these gaps with the appropriate gray levels, and then we have to zoom it. So how to fill these appropriate gray levels? So we can make use of the above said methods. That means by any of the interpolation or by using replication methods, you can go for putting the appropriate gray levels in the empty spaces over here. So when you go for zooming the image, when you zoom the image, you will see that the rows and the columns, they will expand by creating empty spaces. So these empty spaces should be filled, and then you are going to get the output, which will be a zoomed image. So this zoomed image is nothing but it is a combination of the original image along with some of the gray levels which are being put into its neighborhood. So combination of the original images and some modifications on the surroundings of the original image, then I am going to get my zoomed image. Zooming is now also called as oversampling. That means if it is the scaling of an image, okay, so if I'm having width by height number of pixels by some factor s, okay, we are going to increase it. So when you apply the factor s over here, it will be applied for the width and it will be applied for the height also. So we are going to increase the number of pixels image in an image so that it is going to appear bigger. Zooming is going to require two steps. First one is we have to create new pixel locations which will be adjacent to the original pixel locations what we are having, and the second one is we are having the assignment of the gray level to those new locations. Then we go for assigning the gray level. You can look at this picture over here where we have a 4 cross 4 pixel. So the width is equal to 4, height is equal to 4. The new height and width is equal to double, that is 8 by 8. We got the complete image. So you can see here the red color what was there, now it has been doubled because we have the neighboring pixels also colored with the same color. So you can see the yellow over here. That yellow color is also colored by using sampling. The neighbors will be affecting. So the scaling algorithm is going to find where actually I have to put my colors in my empty places inside the original image, and then this can be made into a more lively picture with some zooming effect. Nearest neighbor, this particular method, that is bicubic interpolation, when you zoom by using bicubic interpolation, it is far better. How it is better? So we are going to consider the neighborhood of the known pixels, and then I am going to consider what will be my middle pixel, which are my nearest 16 pixels. The surrounding 16 pixels are calculated, and these 16 pixels, they are at different distances in terms of bits and all. So what we are going to do, we are going to take their weights, and then if the pixels are closer, they should be considered more. That means they should be given more preference, so their weights are considered more. If the pixels are little far away, the neighbors are little far away, they will have little significance, so their weightage will be less. So bicubic produces a sharper image because it is having a combination of the processing time and the output quality is good. The reason being because it is going to consider its 16 neighbors. These 16 neighbors what we are going to have, they are going to play a part in recognizing what will be the actual pixel value. So because of its big advantages, it is used in many editing programs and also in the printers and in the cameras also. This method is used for interpolation. In this picture here, you can see that we are having the light blue color one, what is there, that is the pixel which has to be modified, that is the pixel which has to be changed. So if that has to be changed, it should be knowing its neighbors. So the next blue color what we have, you can see that those are the closest ones, and the dark blue ones, the darkest blue ones what we have in this picture, they are the farthest ones. So for determining the zooming, we will be considering its 16 neighbors, and then among the 16 neighbors, the near ones will be having more weightage. As the distance goes on increasing, the weightage becomes less, and then by using this value, you can go for zooming. This effect is far better than the previous methods what we have used. The next method is called as k times zooming. That means how many times you want to zoom, that value you can give. If you want to zoom it twice, the k value will be equal to 2. Similarly, you can give any value for the k and then you can go for increasing the image size. So what we are going to do in this particular method is we are going to subtract the smaller value from the greater one. Say suppose I will call that value as OP. So this OP value will be divided from the zooming factor, that is k. That means the k value will be equal to 2 if we want to zoom it twice. K value will be equal to 3 if we want to zoom it thrice. So now we have to add the result of the smaller value, and then that value is going to be added in between the 2 pixels what we had considered initially. So if I want to zoom it once more, then what I am going to do, again I am going to add my OP value and then I am going to place it to the next to the previous value what I had calculated. So like this I am going to repeat it for k minus 1 values. This can be repeated for the number of rows and the number of columns, and then you are going to get a zoomed image. So this is one way of going for zooming. So in this zooming, what we are going to do, we are going to increase by number of value depending upon a value called as number of times depending upon a value called as k. This k is called as a zooming factor. So you can look at one example over here. I am having an image which is consisting of 2 rows and 3 columns. And I want to zoom it say 3 times, zoom it thrice. So if I want to zoom it 3 times, we will be having the k value as 3. If the k value is 3, in between 2 rows and in between 2 columns, the number of values what can be inserted, it depends upon the k, which is equal to k minus 1. So in between these two, that is 15, 30, you are going to get 2 values. In between 30 and 15, you are going to get 2 values. So the number of values what will be inserted, it will be equal to 2, which is equal to k minus 1. So I am having one image over here which is 15, 30, 15, 30, 15, 30. So we'll try to see how it will work when we go for zooming with respect to k. So you can look at this image over here. The first picture you can see the 15 and 30 in the first column. So that is taken from the first table. And then we have 20 and 25 which are calculated, 25 and 20 which is calculated, 30, 15 from the input, 20, 20 which is calculated, 25, 25 which is calculated. Finally we have 15 and 30 which is taken from the input. So first I am going to take my 2 adjacent pixels. Which are my 2 adjacent pixels? 15 and 30. I am going to find the difference between the smaller number and the bigger number, which will be equal to 15. This 15 is going to be divided by k, the zooming value, where I am going to get the value as 5. So this is called as OP. This OP is added to the smaller number among 30 and 15. So smaller number among 30 and 15 is equal to 15. So 15 plus 5 will be equal to 20. So this 20, it is added to the matrix here in between, after 15. So it will not stop here because we want the k value, we have the k value is equal to 3. We are going to do it twice. So what we are going to do, again we are going to take this OP value over here and add it to 20. Then I am going to get the value as 25. So this 25 value is placed at the next position. So like this we are going to repeat it for the set of pixels which are coming after, which are coming between 30, 15 and 15, 30 also. So among 30, 15, which is the smallest value, that is equal to 15. So find the difference between 30 and 15, you are getting 15. You divide that by the k, you are going to get it as 5. This 5 is added to the smaller value, that is 15, you are going to get it as 20. And this 20 is placed after 30. And again, because it is k is equal to 3, the number of values is equal to 2, now we have one more 5 added to 20 and you are going to get the 25. So after inserting the values in this particular manner, in the second picture you can see that the second half where we had 2020 and 25 and 25, we are going to sort it. That means the values of the 25 and 20 will be coming before. That means we have to maintain a symmetry. You can see here the midpoint is 30, and on the left hand side we have 15, 20 and 25, and on the right side we have 25, 20, 15 in the first row of the second image. So here you can see that when we are zooming, there should be a symmetry also. There should be a similarity. So then we are going to get the proper image. So in the row wise zooming and in the column wise zooming, this is the same method what we are going to adopt. In the column wise zooming also, the same procedure is applied, and I am going to consider the two adjacent pixel values and the same OP is used. For example, you can look at this case over here. In the first column, I have the first value as 15 and the last value as 13. So the difference between 30 and 15 is equal to 15. So this 15 is divided by k, which is equal to 3. I am going to get OP is equal to 5. So this 5 is added to 15, which will give 20. So that is present as in the first column, that is the second value what I am going to get. Similarly, for this 20, again 5 is added, and then you are going to get the value as 25. So in this way, I am going to compute all the values. In this way, in all the column, I can compute the column wise zooming values and substitute these. So here the numbers what we have written, the numbers are nothing but the intensity values. In a image, you can see that you will be having number of intensities. Based on that intensity only, you are going to get the final image. So here you can see that when we are having the number of values, when it is increasing with respect to the intensity of the neighbors, so this is called as the k times zooming. So in image processing, whatever the contents we are having, we'll always talk about numbers here, but these numbers are always associated with the intensity values. Every pixel will be having some intensity values. So these intensity values will play a part when you go for a. The next method of zooming is called as pixel replications. The replication is nothing but duplicating. So we are going to increase the pixels of the same type. We are going to duplicate them. We are going to make multiples of them, and then we are going to put it, and that is called as the pixel replication. So whenever we want to increase the size of an image by any integer number of times, by 1 time, 2 time, like this and all, then you can go for this pixel replication. So suppose if you want to double the size of an image in the size of with respect to the column and the row, so what we can do, the image can be doubled in the x direction, the image can be also doubled in the y direction. So if we want to go for zooming with respect to any other integer, it may be 3 times or 4 times. In that case also we can go for the pixel replication. So when you go for increasing the number of pixels over here, what happens to the color? So the color, the gray level assignment, it is determined by what was the previous, in the previous old location, what was the gray level. So the new locations will be the exact duplicate of the old location. So based on this factor, you can see here I have an image which is having 4 pixels, say. This 2 by 2 matrix, it is increased to 4 by 4, where every pixel over here, it is doubled with respect to the row and with respect to the column. A 2 cross 2 image, it has been increased to 4 cross 4. This 2 cross 2 image, what is there? At every pixel position, you are going to increase it, and then you are going to get a zoomed image. So this method is called as a pixel replication. The best way how we can calculate the formula for any dimension of the new image is when we are going to compare the original image and the final image. So the dimensions of the original image, if it was equal to 2 cross 3, and the dimension of the new image, it is equal to 4 cross 7, you can say that here we are having the k factor, that means how many times we are zooming, that value we have to give, and then you can go for seeing what will be your new image. So there will be a relation, that means what we are trying to tell is there will be a relation between the original image and the final image, the zoomed image. The new image and the the new image is nothing but the zoomed image. It will always be related to your original image. So the k1 factor will be there. Based on that only, then you can go for what will be your actual final image. So the original image and the new image will be always related. So if you go for advantages and disadvantages of zooming, what you can see here is it will be giving k times zooming. It will be little blurry. That means we will have little blurring effect. So how we can do this one is the image processing. You have to see whether this particular image requires zooming. If I zoom, will it blur? If it is leading to blur, then you may not have to go for that particular method. So there will be some methods also again to bring down that blurring, all these things. We can do that also. We can add that one, and then you can go for getting a final image. Whenever you are having some refining to an image, that means we are adding a technique to that, means definitely the cost of the computation will go up. Opposite of zooming is image shrinking. So in the image shrinking, what we are going to do, we are going to perform row wise deletion and column wise deletion the opposite way how we had done for zooming. So if we delete the rows and the columns what are present in between, definitely I am going to get image which will be smaller. So you can see here in this image, the original image which was a bigger image, I am going to remove the intermediate pixels, and then I am going to reduce that to a 3x3. So same method we are going to make use of. When I am going to remove this one, the values over here, the intermediate pixels what were computed, they will be removed, and then I am going to get the final value. Image shrinking is done opposite of how we are going for a zooming. So intermediate rows and columns are deleted, and then I am going to get the effect. Here you can see a particular picture which has been shrinked, which has been scaled up in the negative direction. That means we are making it smaller. So this is an example for image shrinking. So if you are going to shrink it, you can see the details are not very clear. So maybe when you want to go for image shrinking, say suppose if you want to save some space or you want to put this in smaller position, then you can go for image shrinking. This image shrinking, it is related to image sampling and quantization, because in image sampling and quantization we had sampling. In the sampling we can have either oversampling or we can go for undersampling. Whenever you are having a oversampling, that is nothing but zooming, and whenever you have undersampling, that is called as shrinking. That means the samples are considered more. When we considering the samples more, then that is called as oversampling, and then we are removing the samples and we are taking only the little smaller ones, that is called as undersampling. So whenever you are having image shrinking, this should be always applied for a digital image. So continuous image in a image is nothing but we have to go for a digital image. The zooming requires creation of new pixel locations, and then we go for gray levels. The equivalent process is the row column deletion for image shrinking. So we can shrink an image by half. We can delete every row and column. That is, here we are summarizing what is a zooming effect and what is a shrinking effect. We can make use of the zooming grid technology, and then we can reduce the possible aliasing effects so that the blurring of the image should be minimized. So what we have to do, if you want to go for shrinking, because it will blur, so first you have to blur the image and then you go for shrinking it. So this method is very effective when we go for shrinking an image. The next topic is arithmetic and logic operations. In the arithmetic and logic operations, because in an image all are of pixels. Uh, these pixels can be operated on. That means you can apply some operations on this. So we are going to apply this by pixel by we are going to apply this by pixels. So the images will be of the same size only, but the effect will be seen when you are going to apply a arithmetic and logic operation. So input images, it will be constant value, and for that I'm going to add some offset, and when you're going to offset this one, you're going to get the changes. So image arithmetic is the most simple form of the image processing. That means you don't need any some extra calculations and all. It is very straightforward. You can just go for applying the arithmetic and the logic operations on all the bits what are available in your image. This is having a wide range of applications. So because whenever you are having any operation, you looking forward, you can see in topics which are coming, you will see that these operations will lead to the images which are better than the original image. That means I have an image, when I apply some arithmetic or the logic operation, you can see some part of the image which was not seen in your original image. So the main advantage here is this process is very simple, and so because it is simple, it can be computed very fast, and it is very arithmetic and logic operations. We can go for adding some images, or you can go for subtracting two images. Arithmetic operations, logical operations, which are usually performed on the binary images. Okay, here you'll be having the bitwise logical operators. The logical operators, we have the and, or, not, and all. They will be applied in a bitwise fashion. So we call this as a mask. We can see that how by making use of the logical operators, we can create a mask, and then this mask can be used for applying on the images and enhancing the images. Okay, so some of the basic arithmetic operations which can be applied on the image bitwise can be considered like this. So I'm having a add, you can also go for square root, you can go for exponent, you can go for applying a logarithmic on a pixel. You can also go for applying trigonometric equations, trigonometric operations on a pixel, like by making use of a sine, cos, and all. And you can also go for inverting. So these are some of the basic arithmetic operations what can be applied for a image. When we are telling basic arithmetic operation, every pixel in this image, it will be modified by making use of pixel wise additions. Okay, so when we have the additions in terms of pixel wise, then that will be called as basic arithmetic operation. We can also go for applying some logical operations to my pixels which are available in the image. So these are some of the logical operations what we can go for applying. We can see that the not operation can be applied, which is the negative. So whatever the previous value is, that will get negated. Or you can go for applying the XOR operation, where you will be having the XOR operation performed on all the pixels over here. So this picture is very interesting here, because you can see here A is one image and B is another image. So what will happen to these two images when you apply different type of operations? So the first one is not. When you apply the not for A, that means wherever you had 0, wherever you had the values as black, now that is written as white, and wherever we have white, that is written as black. So you can see here in this we have 0, 0, 1. The 0, 0, 1 what we had there, that 0, 0, 1 was written by using the black color in A, but it has been now changed to white. That means wherever we had white, there it will be black, and wherever we have black, that will be white. Not means it will be the opposite. Whatever way the color is there, the opposite of that color, that will be represented in this particular image. So the next one is A dot B, A and B. What is A and B? So in the AND operation, when we have both of them as 0, only then it will be 0. if it is that means both of them are 1, only then it will be equal to 1. In all the other three cases, if it is 0 means you're going, if any one of the bit, that is A or B, if any one of the bit, if it is equal to 0, then you're going to get it as 0. The final value will be 0. So we are going to get this values A dot B, which will be equal to whatever the value of A is there, and we are going to AND it with B. You can see that the black color circle what was there, the behind value, it may be a white color or it may be a black color. Because the black color is the dominant over here, A and B, you are going to get it as fully black in the middle, because you are going to get the AND operation. The AND operation will be resulting in, so whatever you have on the empty space in the B, you can see that because of the AND operation that has been filled up over here. So you can also go for A plus B. What is this A plus B means? Logical addition. When you go for the logical addition, because it is the OR operation, one is 0, the other one is 1. You will be getting the value as 1. So the OR operation will be performed and you are going to get the output as showed in the picture. These are also some of the arithmetic and the logical operations what we can apply. So you have the images over here. When you are going to AND it, this is the effect what you are getting. So in some places in the image processing, you may require such type of operations. That is the reason why we need to know how we can apply a bitwise operation on the image. So then we are having multiple places where the image can look better. For example, in this particular case, I wanted an effect only of the picture, which is the doll, and I don't want the background and all. So maybe you are going to apply a operation like this. And you can see in the second one where I am getting the output only as a doll what is there. We are not going to get anything from the background. So you can apply the logical operations suitably and then you are going to get the output. Many applications are available for these type of operations. Moreover, it is very simple and also it is very fast. When you are going to apply the subtraction, that means we take an image and then you are going to create a mask. What is this mask? Is nothing but a mask can be an image which can be got from the original image by applying some arithmetic or logical operations. So this is one technique. This is one interesting technique in image processing where you will be having a mask can be created from the original image. The original image will be there. On this you apply some operation and you're going to get a mask. And when you combine the original with the mask, you will see that you're going to get a different image. So this technique is also used in some places to find the difference or to find out exactly what was in the original image. This can be done. You can go for image subtraction. In this particular image, the picture is more clear. Or you can say the connections what are there. It is more clear when you go for the second image because it has been applied with the mask has been subtracted. We create a mask. What is a mask? A mask is nothing but we will be having a small image. This image is a image which has been obtained from the original image after applying some operation. It may be arithmetic operation, it may be a logical operation, it may be some other operation also. We are going to create a mask and this mask is going to be taken for consideration and then I am going to subtract, I am going to get my image. So this is another slide which is depicting the operations for the arithmetic and the logical operations. We can also go for image averaging. What is this image averaging? You can go for finding the average. So g of xy means it is a function. It is an image. Anything xy is nothing but it is an image. So we have this image of 1 by k when you are going to sum up all the values what are present in your image starting from I is equal to 1 to k. So this can be considered of g dash of xy. G dash of xy is nothing but you are going to get the average value. The average value is nothing. When you are going to find out the opposite of the average value, you are going to get the value which is equal to f of xy, the original image. In image processing, we are having different symbols for how the images are processed. And this lowercase gamma what we have, the lowercase gamma what we have, it is going to give my standard differentiation. That means we are going to get the averaging of 1 by k. Okay, the new value of xy what you are going to get, it will be the average. So this image averaging also is applied in image processing at many places to get a difference between the original image and the final image. So the image averaging, when it is applied for the original image for a number of times, it is average for multiple times, you can see the effect, how this k value is affecting multiple times. So as the image averaging is increasing, you can see the picture is more clear, whereas the image averaging with lesser values was leading to a blurry image. The image is not clear, but when you go for averaging it multiple times, you can see that we can get a better image. So this is the histogram. That means the intensity level what will be present in your averaging. Intensity means you can look at the first picture, it is very light, and if you are looking at the last picture, it is very dark. So the what is the gray level present over here and how it is distributed, that is given here. And you can see in the first case the distribution is average. That means you are having the all the intensities, they are present in the middle of the image. It is in the middle of the image, whereas in the last one you can see that it is concentrated on the first part of the image. That is why this your averaging, when you're going, it will be, when you're going to increase the averaging, the values, that means the values will be concentrated on one part of the image. So these are all will be coming in one particular topic which is called as spatial filtering. In the spatial filtering, we will be having concern with the array, and in the frequency we are going down to its function. Once you are going down to its function, you can modify it, then that is called as frequency. And in the spatial domain, always we will be dealing with arrays, and this arrays can be this filtering can be either linear filtering or it can be non-linear filtering. Linear and non-linear filtering can be differentiated by making use of this formula. Suppose I am having H is my linear operation and F and G are my images. F of xy and G of xy are my two images, and then I am having two values, that is A and B, which are the scalars. So suppose you are having the H of AF plus BG. If it is same as AF HF plus BF HG, then we call this as a linear operation. Else we call the operation as a non-linear operation. This linear and non-linear operation also will be applied in my image processing. So that is the end of my class today. Thank you.